Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and today we're going to do something very different. You see, we're going to dip our toes into multiplayer. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and keep in mind that I'm not very good at the multiplayer camera controls and so on. This is going to take a while to get used to, but yeah. So, I'm playing a game here against Battlesea, myself using the Khorne faction for the Monogods, and Battlesea using the Chaos Dwarfs. This is my first proper foray into multiplayer for the Total War Warhammer series in a while, but let me give you my roster. So we've got a Herald of Khorne on a Blood Crusher, as you've already been able to see, and 2 units of Blood Crushers too, 3 units of Fleshhounds, 4 units of Bloodletters, a Blood Throne of Khorne, and 2 units of Furies. I kind of tried to go for a tabletop style army, and we can already see that the battle started literally within the first few seconds as Battlesea was already trying to hit me with a Dreadquake mortar. Now obviously his magic is not going to be very useful here as, well, you know, Khorne is very resistant to spells, but he does have a few things to hit me hard. So his army list is as follows. He's got a Dreadquake mortar attached to a Skullcracker, which is going to be able to do a decent amount of damage on melee, 5 units of Goblin Laborers, 2 units of Dwarf Warriors with hand weapons and shields, 2 units of Dwarf Blunderbusses, a unit of Fireglaves, a unit of Bull Centaurs with great weapons, and finally a Sorcerer Prophet of Hashut mounted atop a Great Taurus. I'd say that it's pretty evened out here, well, the balance of power at least shows so, and yeah, let's just jump right into the actual battle. Now, I can't stress this enough that myself and Battlesea are both campaign players, not multiplayer players, so we're just doing this to have a little bit of fun because at the end of the day, we might as well just enjoy the new toys, right? So, we've got quite a fun, different army here. I'm going for something that you'd use on the tabletop with Khorne, funny enough. Yes, a little bit of skirmishing is actually quite good with the Fleshhounds, and I'm trying to surround and trying to play very similar to how I'd play like Sinesh armies. I am going to take some very heavy hits here from the Dreadquake mortar because it's going to do a lot of damage regardless that it's fire damage, but already coming in from the side with my Fleshhounds who are just going to try and rip apart those laborers as fast as possible. I need them to do their damage here. I did have a very interesting issue here for the pathfinding for my Blood Crushers, which they did take a while to actually get into combat. I don't know what happened there, and they started to die. Not the actual Chaos Dwarfs, but my Blood Crushers. Yeah, the Blunderbusses do a lot of damage to them, and you can see my Blood Crushers basically just get deleted very quickly into the battle. You can see the charge happening right now, and yeah, you can see like the Herald just randomly went back instead of actually charging in, which was just super bizarre. I'm not sure this is just something with this map, but yeah, the Blood Crushers are in, the Blood Crushers are going to try and do as much as possible. In fairness, I should have had them go straight for the Blunderbusses, but that line of Chaos Dwarfs was basically blocking me there. I do have some other Fleshhounds going for some other shooty boys there, and my other Blood Crusher unit is coming in from the side. My Bloodletters are doing exactly what the Bloodletters in the tabletop do, and that's basically just hold down the enemy. I've got the Blood Throne there just trying to buff them up as much as possible, especially trying to avoid the Skullcracker, because the Skullcracker can do some decent damage. It's going to get shots on me regardless, this is the thing. Despite the fact that the Dreadquake actually has a front arc of fire, it's going to fire 360. I'm not sure if this is intended or not, but even the standard Dreadquake not attached to anything actually fires in a 360 arc. But yeah, I'm hitting hard. This is basically what Khorne is supposed to do. My Furies tried to hold down as much of the Fireglaves as possible, and really I was just trying to make sure that they weren't getting the big shots out because I'm more worried about them than I am about anything else. I'm doing heavy damage here, but the balance of power is not moving. You can see that the Dreadquake is getting some shots in. It would have probably been better to bring in the Skullcracker as much as possible. It was kept too much in range in my opinion, but all in all, I've got any target that I need to have held down, and that was the most important thing to me. I've already taken some serious losses. My Bloodletters have been, yeah, a lot of them have been taking a lot of hits. I've been able to more or less plan movement around though. What I must admit is I probably didn't use my Herald as well as I should have, where I should have had him either going for the Skullcracker or probably going after the Sorcerer of Hashut. What I did try to do is make sure that I was moving around my Blood Throne as much as possible, and then I decided, yeah, I'm going to start trying to bog down the Skullcracker using one of my units of dogs, as my dogs have been overperforming here compared to pretty much everything else. The rest of the Chaos Dwarfs were basically slowed down into one corner, and I was pushing them against the wall as much as possible. This was literally just trying to use some movement to push them around in an effort to make sure that they couldn't get either firing out, or the fact is that they were just locked. My biggest concern was the Bull Centaurs, as Bull Centaurs, if you've been noticing through various different live streams and Let's Plays that people have been throwing out, they perform very, very well. They do a lot of damage. These weren't the right ones to use here. I think that Battlesea was expecting me to bring Scarbrand or possibly a Bloodthirster, but I actually avoided bringing a Bloodthirster in because I know that it was just not smart to bring in a flying target or a large target against Chaos Dwarfs that have just a lot of firepower and would just focus it down very, very quickly. You might have noticed that the Skullcracker did a pretty good charge, but just didn't do any damage. It's kind of weird. I see the Iron Demon doing better, which is weird considering that the Skullcracker is actually the melee variant, but that's probably going to get changed in the future. But yeah, I took some heavy losses, but as you can see, I've got a lot of table control here. Tabletop term, but yeah, you get what I mean. I've pretty much just taken out as much as I could in an effort to just force army losses. The problem is that, yeah, the Sorcerer of Hashut is still able to hold on quite well, but he's not really got too much going for him. I do wonder how it would have performed with a Lamassu instead. This is more curiosity than anything because I've not really seen a lot of people using the Lamassu. Around the other side of the battlefield, what I am doing right now is just playing a little cleanup as my dogs are just chasing down anything that might have just broken in the standard way, not fully broken. So I want them out of the way so they don't come back. Just try to knock down the enemy morale a little bit, which seems to be working quite well. Again, the Fleshhounds of Khorne performing wonderfully, becoming one of my favorite units when it comes to Khorne. I'm still taking some heavy hits from the Dreadquake, and there's nothing I can do about it. I don't really have too much that can actually hurt it, no real anti-large, which is something I should have actually brought, but I was going with a Khornate Swarm, again, very similar to what you'd bring in the tabletop, where you'd bring a lot of Bloodletters, supported by a lot of Fleshhounds and Blood Crushers acting as a sort of hammer and anvil if you ever brought in some sort of pure monogod demon army for Khorne, which was rare. But yeah, so far so good. Honestly, there are a few things I could have done a little bit better. I should have brought a Soul Grinder in. Maybe I could have taken out one unit of Fleshhounds. I didn't really need 3, because one of them didn't really perform too well. And maybe no Furies. But then again, the Furies did help at bogging down. This is the thing with multiplayer, I'm not very used to this, as it's very, very different to normal campaign. I do feel like Khorne is actually quite good at doing a hard counter against Chaos Dwarfs, as long as you're not focusing too much on Bloodletters and possibly Blood Crushers. Their armor is pretty useless here. Fleshhounds are obviously quite useful. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I'm quite surprised this army did work out quite well. I was expecting a lot more firepower. You can see that near the end, Battlesea's trying to go with more offensive types of spells as the debuffs weren't working too well. The Banhammer just was not going to work here as the Fleshhounds were quite fast. All in all, yeah, quite happy with how it's been done. I think I did fairly well here for someone who isn't really used to multiplayer. We can see here that if we go to the actual end screen, yeah, the Fleshhounds performed very, very well, doing the majority of the kills here, mostly focusing around, you know, the Chaos Dwarfs on foot and obviously a lot of the Laborers, but that was my main plan. Star of the show, really, star of the show. We did get a lot of kills from Battlesea's side. Obviously, the Spellcaster did do as much as he could and did get some kills despite the fact that the spells were quite weak. The Dreadquake Mortar did do a fair amount here too. Speed was obviously in my benefit here, being able to just surround them as much as possible, which, yeah, isn't really common with Khornate armies in game, I guess, but yeah, this was very, very common on the tabletop where you wanted to just bog down the enemy. The main idea is hold them down and rip them apart. Same thing here. I wasn't allowing them to get shots out. You can see that one of the blunderbusses only got 1 kill, one of them got 29. The Fireglaves did not get that much out. The idea is surround, swarm, destroy. And I think I did that quite well. It was really fun playing with Battlesea. The dude's really cool. And the fact is we had a lot of games. There's a few others where he just absolutely destroyed me. Yeah, I'm thinking that this was quite a fun match to see. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Did you like the multiplayer things? Obviously, we're not being able to cover campaign until the 5th, so I figured I might as well just dip my toes into this. Everyone keeps saying is like, I should really try it out. So I did, you know, here and a few other channels do have replays of mine. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this. Where can I improve with the battle replays? Because obviously this is very, very new to me. And I'll see you all again very soon. Have a nice day, guys.